Are you looking to read the best business books ever? If so, then this video is for you. It's a question I get all the time. Hey, Mike, I'm looking to start or grow a business. Which business books do you recommend? So I put together this video and I'm listing off the 5 best business books to read no matter where you're at. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Mike Fallat. I own the #1 book creation service for entrepreneurs. We've helped hundreds of entrepreneurs bring their stories to life in a book, and then we show them how to use that book as a lead magnet to grow their business. So let's have some fun and let's start off with number 1. This one is a banger. This is the one that changed my life forever. I was 22 years old and my employer gave me a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And it showed me for the very first time what an asset was. You know, all through grade school, high school, college, I thought an asset was something that you owned. Turns out that's not the case. An asset is something that pays you money. And it started to show me the difference between assets and liabilities. If it's a liability, it costs you money. An asset is what pays you money. People think that a car is an asset or a house is an asset. Well, it can be if it's paying you money. And if it's not, it's a liability. And it also showed me how I looked at the receiving of money. In the book, it explains the cash flow quadrant. There are 4 ways of making money. You're either an employee, a self-employed business owner, or you go to the right side of the cash flow quadrant and then you're a business owner and then an investor. The goal is to get to the right side, and you have to take these certain steps to get there. You have to start thinking like a rich person first. How does a rich person think? How do they look at assets? How do they think about time? How do they think about wealth management, wealth creation? And this book does that. And the greatest part about this book is it showed me that I was so proud of my work ethic and the blue collar mentality, which does get you pretty far. But in order to become truly wealthy, you need to start thinking about investments. You need to start thinking about money and finances and risk in a certain way. So work ethic is one way of getting rich, but I don't know if it does get you all the way there until you understand assets and you can understand time. So you can break everything down and start to utilize the words on that page to build the life that you truly dream. And Rich Dad, Poor Dad did also highlight that everything that we were told growing up, for the most part, is wrong. So you start to question things. And it was right then and there at 22 years old that I realized maybe everything I was told for a reason. Things about debt, things about buying cars, and things about how I looked at a career. All of it was probably wrong or put in place for a reason. And it was Rich Dad, Poor Dad that made me want to become an entrepreneur. Think like an entrepreneur. That's a phrase that I live by. And it was Rich Dad, Poor Dad that put me on that track. And that's why I recommend anybody out there, no matter where you're at, pick up Rich Dad, Poor Dad, because it'll change your mindset, it'll change your bank account, and it will make you think like a business owner. Number 2, speaking of thinking, let's get into a book that made me think and grow rich. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Game changer. I was, I believe, 35 years, maybe 33 years old. I'm on my way to New York City to see a client. Don't have much money. Started to get a footing in the publishing world, and I put on the audiobook Think and Grow Rich. And it was in that book that I was able to understand the concept of masterminds. Never heard that term before. Mastermind. I thought that was like a bad guy in the TV show Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I had no idea. But when I heard it, I realized in order to become successful, you need to be around successful people. You need to be around individuals who have a certain wavelength in their brain that kind of matches up with where you want to go. The words change, the actions change, the beliefs change, but also the opportunities change. You are a product of your environment. And after that car ride of listening to Think and Grow Rich to New York City from Pittsburgh and back, I was able to soak it all in. And that's when I started looking for events to attend, masterminds to join. And that really did put me on a pathway to success. So it's because of that book, I was able to understand how important my network was. And in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, I was sort of a solo entrepreneur, just doing my thing. I was isolating myself from the world. It was that book that made me realize I needed to expand my network. I needed to become part of other masterminds. And when you do that, you start to talk a certain way, look a certain way, dress a certain way. You have more confidence, you have more opportunities, you have more social proof. Your life is never the same. So Think and Grow Rich. I've interviewed hundreds of entrepreneurs. It's a common theme that they say Think and Grow Rich has changed their life. So pick that book up today and watch what happens. Number 3, I am going to stay in the sphere of Napoleon Hill, and I want to have them together because maybe if you read them together, it will impact you the same way that it impacted me. Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. I will tell you that this is more of a mindset book than it is a business book, but the mindset shifts that it gives you will help you in business. There are days that I wake up and I say, man, I don't feel like it. I can always wait till tomorrow. I'm not ready to go there. I don't think I can do that just yet. And I'm always reminding myself what Napoleon Hill says in Outwitting the Devil. It is the coolest way of putting it that every time that voice pops up, it's the devil trying to keep you right where you're at, keep you stuck, keep you struggling. Does it in a way where there's a man having a conversation with the devil. And this is a book that I recommend. If you're going to read it, then I recommend you listen to it while you read it, or just listen to it on audiobook, because the devil's voice and the man's voice, they communicate. It's so interesting because it puts you right there in that room. And it will show you that every time you have a negative voice, whether it's imposter syndrome popping up, or whether it's an addiction, a habit that's bad that you're trying to break, but you just seem to struggle with it, it's the devil. It's the devil, just like in The Water Boy, how the Water Boy's mom explains how everything that's evil is the devil. She might be onto something there, because in this book, every voice that's negative, everything that's trying to keep you stuck, every self-doubt that you have, every bad addiction, every bad habit, you can realize that it's an enemy. And if it's an enemy with a form, a tangible form, something that you can picture, it's you versus it, you versus him, however you want to look at it. And you could beat it, you could win, you could struggle with it, you can compete with it, you can overtake it. And that's how you win in anything. It's you versus you at the end of the day. And when you can win against something that you can visualize, you realize that, oh my God, everything is a battle. Everything is me versus something. All I need to do is position myself to win. I need to get up and win day in and day out. I can't let the voice win, because if the voice wins, the voice tomorrow will be stronger. In Outwitting the Devil, what you do compounds. And it's cool to realize that if you win today, it's going to be easier tomorrow. If you lose today, it's going to be harder tomorrow. Outwitting the Devil will change your life and your business. So that's why it is number 3 on my list. Number 4, this will start to help you understand authority building. And the book is called Influence by Robert Cialdini. You, as an entrepreneur, as a leader in your community, need to start to establish influence. And in this book, it highlights the significance of social proof. How does one obtain social proof? It's a lot easier for people to believe in you when other people believe in you. It's a lot easier for people to buy into you when other people buy into you. It's a lot easier for other people to refer you when other people are referring you. You see how significant it is for social proof, for authority, and for influence? Your words matter, but they only matter if you have the right setup, if you will. If you walk on stage, you automatically have authority. If you become a best-selling author, individuals will try to look at you and they say, well, if this person has sales already, if this person's been signed off on by the market, then hell, it makes my decision-making easier. I trust in this person a little bit more than the next person. That's what's happened psychologically. And this book, Influence by Robert Cialdini, highlights that in every person's brain, there's a checklist. Before they invest their money or invest their time, there's a checklist. And those boxes need to be checked off to some degree before they give time or money or energy. So you, as an entrepreneur, as a leader, as a business person, need to check off those boxes with social proof, with enough authority. Heck, the root word for authority is author. In this book, it explains how important it is to become an author. But then you need to have the testimonials. You need to have the visual representation. Maybe it's your network on full display. Maybe it's a nice car. Maybe it's a lifestyle. Maybe it's a certain length of time in business. Whatever that checklist is, you need to check that off. And in Influence, it will highlight the recipe that is required to obtain it. So if you're looking to obtain influence, which you definitely want to as a business owner, nobody wants to walk into a room and have nobody listen to them. You need to have weight to your words, and Influence will help you do that. And to cap it off with the best business books that you should read, number 5 is Charles Duhigg's The Power of Habit. I am telling you, when I first read this book, it blew me away of how much psychology is happening on the radio, within TV shows, within movies. There's a game being played, and this book highlights it. And it's a game that you can apply to your own business. Case in point, in the early 2000s, there was a song called Hey Ya by Outkast, and it was not getting any type of attention. So what they did was they meshed it in between two very, very popular songs at the time. So if the radio was playing one song, what they would do that was very popular, like a number 1 or number 2 song in the country, they would put it with Hey Ya to follow it, and then another number 1, number 2, or number 3 song right afterward. What that did was it made people who love number 1 somehow start to hear number 2, or hear the Outkast song and say, oh, that one's pretty good. And then they heard the third song and they even loved that one. So by, I guess you could say, gamification, they got Outkast to be loved by those individuals who loved the first and the third song. And that is how it became an absolute huge success across the country. So what you can realize is that humans run off of patterns and behavior. And so you can hack it to some degree. You can hack it with, I guess you could say, games like that, but also to realize that if you do certain things with an email blast, text message, a video, book, there's gotta be some type of science behind it. And once you understand how people think, you can win. Business is about dollars and cents and products and services, but it's about how people think and psychology. And if you can understand that to some degree, you'll realize that people respond to some things in a positive way and other things in a negative way. It's things like hot buttons and issues that you need to either dive into as a business owner or stay away from. Case in point that I took from The Power of Habit is I realized that, you can start to really own your brand in a certain way that people expect things from you. They expect the messaging. They expect a certain way of you looking at life, maybe being humorous. And so they expect a certain message all the time. And if you are trying to appease everyone, you're never going to be able to do that. The power of habit. When you start to post on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube, there's got to be an expectation of what you're going to put out. That's why people keep coming back. When you put out a book, they expect a certain quality, a certain humor, a certain flavor, and it's about building a brand in a certain way. The power of habit will help you do that, and you will be able to break down the human mind better than ever before. And if you can understand how people think, you're going to win. And I believe it's in The Power of Habit explains how humans are motivated by whether it's fear or whether it's by want. And humans are more motivated by fear than want. And if you understand that, you can understand yourself. So The Power of Habit will explain habits for other people, but habits for you. And if you can hack your own brain, hack your own sense of discipline, you can win big in the business world. So that is my list of the top 5 best business books that you should read starting today. And if you have any questions, comment down below. I'll answer them for you. If you need any help in getting your own book done, we're here for you. DreamStartersPublishing.com, because $1 million book will lead to $1 million life as long as you never say die. We'll see you soon.